In this exercise, you'll be measuring and drawing angles. So before we start with any new work, we'll do a review of a number of types of angles. Firstly, we're told angles are classified according to their size. If you have an angle that is between 0 and 90 degrees, we call that an acute angle. So you can see the angle is very sharp. If our two lines have an angle between them of 90 degrees, then we say we have a right angle. If we have our two lines where the angle between them is between 90 and 180 degrees, we call that angle obtuse. If we have our lines that meet at a point along a straight line, we say it is a straight angle. The angle is 180 degrees. If our angle is between 180 and 360 degrees, then we call it a reflex angle. If our lines join together at the same point form just one straight line, then the angle between them is 360 degrees. Once around the circle, that's called a revolution. When we have complementary angles, we say that complementary angles add up to 90 degrees. So I'm going to draw two lines to start off with. One, two. These two are at 90 degrees. They're a right angle. Now what I'm going to do is draw a third line. Now, in red, I'm going to mark in one angle. In blue, I'm going to mark in the other angle. The red and the blue angles are complementary, because if you join those angles together, you will get a right angle, 90 degrees. Similarly, when angles are supplementary angles, they add up to equal 180 degrees. So I'll do this visually again. I'm going to draw a line in. Now I'm going to draw another line. In red, I'm going to mark in one angle, and in blue, the other angle. So these two angles will add up to equal 180 degrees. You can see it visually here. Now we're going to consider a circle. So we're given some text. Over 3,000 years ago, Babylonian astronomers estimated there were 360 days in a year, and so they divided circles into 360 degrees. And that's what we still use now. Look at the angle in the center of this circle. Use this to answer the following. How many degrees in a right angle? Okay. Now, how many degrees in a right angle? I'm going to draw in blue on the first circle there, and this will be my answer for A. 360 degrees is equal to 4 times 90 degrees. So if I take my line and extend it, and then I draw another one which is perpendicular through the center, I've divided the circle into 4 quarters. So 360 degrees is the whole way around the circle. A quarter of 360 is 90, so 90 degrees. How many degrees in a straight angle? If we extend our line across, that's 180 degrees, half of the circle. C says to us, how many degrees in a revolution? So if I'm starting there and going right the way around a circle, once around the circle, 360 degrees. We're now asked to estimate how many degrees are in each angle. An estimate is an approximation, so we will not necessarily get the exact answer. So if I'm looking at A, I can see I have an acute angle. It's less than 90 degrees, but I can see it's close to 90 degrees, so it might be 80 degrees. Now, because it's an estimate, it might be a little bit bigger than 80 or a little bit less than 80. For B, looking at B, I can see I'm bigger than 90 degrees, but less than a straight angle. So I know I've got an obtuse angle. Now we can see, if I just draw in a little dotted line, we're getting closer to a straight angle, but we haven't got there yet. So it's going to be less than 180. But we know, because it's obtuse, it's bigger than 90, but it's closer to the 180. So perhaps it's about 160 degrees. Looking at C, I can see it is an acute angle. I can see it's less than 90. I can see it's quite a way less than 90 degrees. To me, it looks about half of 90 degrees. So half of 90 degrees, 45 degrees. Now looking at D, I can see it's bigger than a right angle, but not much bigger than a right angle. So I know it's obtuse, and it might be, say, 105, 110 degrees. I will write 105 degrees as my guess. If we were to measure angles exactly, what we would do is we would use a protractor. The diagram here is a protractor. This protractor measures between 0 and 180 degrees, but there are some protractors which go from 0 to 360 degrees. So if we look at this, there is a center which we put over a point. We move the straight line, which I'm marking in blue, either end of that straight line onto the line where the point starts, and then we measure the angle of the second line. So if my second line was here, so we had an angle like this, I would measure from 0 right the way around to 130 degrees. If my lines were like that, my protractor at the point, straight line at the bottom, and then reading across, I would have gone 50 degrees. There is a link to another video showing you how to use a protractor after this video. This is what a protractor looks that has 360 degrees on it. It's in the shape of a circle. In this example, we're asked to estimate, then measure this angle. So if I'm looking at this, I'm just going to draw a dotted line in. You can see that the angle is bigger than 90 degrees, but it's not 180 degrees, which would be onto my dotted line. So I look at it and I think it's around about 130 degrees. Now what I would do is check this with a protractor. So I would move my protractor so that the center dot on the protractor is where I've put the dot on the diagram. The straight line on the bottom of the protractor, I would move along this line here. Then read up where this blue line goes on the part of the protractor which has the degrees marked on it. And then I would read what this number here is. It turns out it is 135 degrees. The first number I gave was an estimate. The second number I gave was an exact answer. My estimate did not have to be the same as my exact, but it would be very similar. In the second example, it says, draw an angle of 60 degrees. So I'm using your textbook for this. The first thing you do is you draw a straight line. This straight line has been drawn in red. You then move your protractor so the center of the protractor is at the end of your straight line. It doesn't matter which end. Now we're asked to draw an angle which is 60 degrees. So I'm coming from my straight line back up 60 degrees. When I get to the 60 degrees, I put in a dot. That dot is in red. I have just indicated that. Then with a ruler, you join from the end of the straight line to your dot, and with a ruler, rule it in.